We are 4 days away from Notre Dame versus Miami in Hard Rock Stadium with so much to discuss ahead of that crucial season opening game for the Fighting Irish. And we're going to talk about it with Eric Hansen and Tyler Horka. Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the Blue and Gold YouTube channel for more content. And go to blueandgold.com for what all of us are writing on your Fighting Irish. So in this very video that we've been doing for a few weeks now, we've talked about the quarterback battle. That's, of course, been settled now, Eric. It's CJ Carr. What do you expect? Because I feel like there's multiple lines of thinking you could have here. It's like, all right, you have this young quarterback, ease them into this thing. Or is it like, man, you got a top 5, top 10 defense in the country. You can let them let it rip a little bit because the defense might take care of it. Where do you think Mike Denbrock kind of lands on this kind of thing?
I think a little bit of all what you mentioned, and I think part of the reason is because they're facing a new defensive coordinator in Corey Heatherman, and they've seen Minnesota's film, but they haven't seen the Miami players executing that. I think if you get too conservative and leave the training wheels on too long, you play right into Miami's plan of saying, let's put 8 in a box and make him beat us down the field. I think you'll see some shots down the field. I think you'll see Mike Denbrock trying to feel out what Corey Heatherman likes to do. And so you'll see CJ in a lot of different situations, but I think more conservative than daring, but I don't think you're going to take out all the daring.
Tyler?
Yeah, I love that you use training wheels there, Eric, because I feel like when you go back to a similar situation in 2022 with Tyler Buckner, the training wheels were way too much of a factor in that game for the Notre Dame offense. And then Notre Dame only scores 10 points in a game that it was in, and it was leading late in the third quarter against Ohio State. So you don't want those training wheels to be too much of an inhibiting factor for CJ Carr. On the flip side of that, I think CJ Carr is a different quarterback than Tyler Buckner, and you do trust his arm a little bit more than you did with Buckner's in that game. Now, is Carr going to throw an interception? Probably. I think Jack Sobel was on this very YouTube channel, and he said he wouldn't be surprised if CJ Carr throws 2 interceptions. Or he might have said that about Carson Beck, but I'm going to say that about both quarterbacks in this game, given Notre Dame's defense and what we don't know about CJ Carr. The bottom line, either way, is there's a lot of unknown with CJ Carr, and he's just going to have to show it to us. And I think Marcus Freeman, when he said that he made a gut decision, that's what he's sort of leaning into is this kid's a gamer. He's going to do some special stuff for us out there. But in a game like this, I do think you're going to see those growing pains that we've all talked about. Like, those aren't overstated. I think when Mike Denbrock says it, when Marcus Freeman says it, when us beat writers say it, it's probably going to happen. Now, if it doesn't, if he looks like Jack Cohn against Florida State in 2021, man, maybe Notre Dame really has something here going forward. The answer is going to be somewhere in the middle. There's going to be some good and some bad.
Notre Dame released its first depth chart on Tuesday, and with that, I feel like pretty much every position battle is now sorted except for one. At the right guard position, we have Gerby Lambert or Sullivan Absher. And by the way, Tyler, it was Carson Beck that Jack was talking about in our show yesterday. So I'm sure Jack watched this clip and is like, wait, no, I didn't say that. So Jack, I got you, bro. All right, but yeah, go looking at this depth chart. Do you guys read anything to that Lambert is above Absher on the or? I know Jack mentioned that yesterday in our show because usually they go alphabetical on this. So Eric, you putting on a tinfoil hat on this?
No, but I do think Lambert will be the choice. I think he was number 1 on my fake depth chart when I was trying to get ready for this, just because I thought he'd eventually be the choice. So maybe that's why they did it, so they wouldn't have to change it next game. Just helping themselves out. But Marcus Freeman mentioned on Tuesday the chance of seeing both of them in the game. I can see a real downside to that, especially in this Miami game with the atmosphere the way it's going to be, and communication going to be as challenging, and chemistry new. I think maybe this is the game you don't want to do that, at least not rotate series and so forth. And we had Aaron Taylor on our podcast, Third and Goal podcast this week, and he talked about that. There's some upside potentially down the road to that, and that you're building depth. But again, chemistry is going to be so critical these first 2 weeks with the offensive line, and how challenged they'll be with some pretty good front sevens.
I don't mind the rotating. I know Aaron Taylor knows a lot more than I do, but I think it's more about Notre Dame having two really good options there in Absher and Lambert, where I think it would be pretty seamless if one guy went in for a series and then the other guy went in for the next series. You get more data points that way to figure out where you're going to go the rest of the season. Now, when Charles Jagasaw comes back, maybe this is all a moot point, but right now we're talking about it's either Absher or it's Lambert. You have to figure that out one way or the other. But I will credit Lambert for, I will never forget in fall camp a few weeks ago when I was watching the Notre Dame offense. And that day I just so happened to be watching the offensive line a little closely. Sullivan Absher was taking nothing but mental reps. I think we reported at blueandgold.com that maybe he was going through a little bit of an injury during camp. And Lambert came in and said, you know what? This is my time to maybe show the coaches that I can be this guy. And the Absher injury isn't going to be a downfall if it lingers into the season anyway. So it hasn't done that, but now you have a good problem on your hands, right? You have two really good guys that I think could play really good football for Notre Dame at right guard.
They got to know. Just pick one. Just pick Lambert or Absher. I think Lambert does give you, Eric, and I'm curious if you agree on this. I think Lambert gives you the long-term higher upside. Absher is a really nice interior run blocker, but I think and he might be the better run blocker right now from what I understand, but Lambert is just going to be the better overall long-term player and could be a replacement down the line at one of the tackle spots too.
Yeah, I think Lambert will eventually be a tackle for Notre Dame. Probably not this year unless there's an injury. But I also think, and part of what I base that, and I'm a big Sullivan Absher fan, but Lambert I'm geeked about. This is a guy that had shoulder surgery in April, so he missed pretty much most of spring practice, a lot of summer workouts, and it wasn't 100% sure that he was going to be 100% when the season started. Certainly there was a thought he'd miss a lot of training camp, and for him to get into this position at this point tells me where I think it's going to go from here.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll add about that is Lambert is listed as the backup right tackle as well, behind Emil Wagner. That shows you everything that you need to know about him. Like he's ready in a pinch, and it's probably not going to need to be a pinch. I think I'm with Eric. I think you see him run out there with the first team Notre Dame offensive line on Sunday night.
A couple other depth chart notes. The two backup corners listed, Dallas Golden and Mark Zachary. I think that is notable. Both true freshmen have had really good camps. And then you have Chance Tucker and Creed Thomas as threes. Tucker's been around forever. One of the few remaining guys from the 2021 class. I think Creed Thomas, another true freshman who I've heard good things about. So I don't know how you look at that. I think it's a positive because I think both are outstanding players. And then also looking at the depth chart, we're going to spend the next 10 minutes discussing Tyler Buchner as the starting holder. I am just joking. But there is, for the kick returners, a designation with the or designation, Jeremiah Love or Jadarian Price. Tyler, what do you think about that possibility for Notre Dame, as kickoff returners? It's hard to argue against them as like the most talented kickoff returners, but they're also two guys you don't want to get hurt. So what do you think, Ty?
I love it. I absolutely love it. Jadarian Price, he scores nothing but long touchdowns. Heck, we've seen him score a kick return touchdown in a big game for Notre Dame a couple seasons ago against USC. And then last year, I think he averaged 35 some odd yards on his rushing touchdowns. He scored 7 of those. For that average to be mid-30s is incredible. Jeremiah Love, we all know what he is. He's the best running back in college football. I think he's a Reggie Bush-like talent if you put him in this situation. He never gets this kind of space to run with the football. He always has to create his own space, and he eventually gets to those wide areas. I mean, we've seen him score a 98-yard touchdown. He's just as good as, if not better than, Jadarian Price in that regard. But to see him in this capacity, I think that's something new. I think that could be very effective for Notre Dame. You cross your fingers on the injury front. Of course, you hope he doesn't get injured, but man, is he going to have some opportunities to make some really special plays and maybe bolster that Heisman Trophy resume as well. I think that's another part of this. That's not what the coaches are thinking, but heck, man, if you're a Notre Dame fan, you should be thinking that absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with the Heisman Trophy thing. I don't think the coaches are thinking that, and that's why I like this. I think they're doing it because they think Notre Dame can be better. And as far as the injury risk, I think this was a low number, but Notre Dame only had 17 kickoff returns last year in 16 games. So you're not talking about a great number of exposures for Jeremiah Love to get injured. But I think it plays into Marcus Freeman being an aggressive coach and plays into that philosophy. And he wants his players to think this way. And Jeremiah Love wants to do it. So I say, yeah, absolutely. I'm for this. I think it's worth the risk. And I think, if it helps you win another game and you're a top 4 seed in the playoff, I think it's definitely worth it.
Real quick, guys, I have to thank Notre Dame for the dog days of the off-season content where we would get clips of Jeremiah Love working at receiver. Because people love that stuff. Do you guys think you could see any Jeremiah Love in the slot, Price is in the backfield, Love's in the slot? Do you think we could see a few snaps of that a game?
I think you will. I think we're going to see more 2-back than we've seen from Notre Dame in a while. Not to the level that a lot of the people in the fan base want to see it every down, but yeah. I do think we'll see it a lot. I think there are ways to get mismatches. As much as Jeremiah Love is put into being an elite receiver, I think we're going to see that on the field.
I think there was this thing last year where Jeremiah Love was maybe I just want to be a receiver. With the year that he had at running back, I think he's accepted that and leaned all the way into that. But a part of being the running back that he wants to be is maybe going and splitting out wide and catching more than, I don't even think it was 1.5 passes per game that he caught in that 2024 season. If he gets that number closer to 40 catches, which would be more than 2 catches per game in that 3 catch per game sphere, then you're a complete back at that point. You are a better running back, and I think that's part of it. So it's not that he wants to be a receiver, it's that he can be, and that can make him a better running back.
Yeah, whatever you can do, Notre Dame, to get him the ball more. Just whatever you do, Irish fans, don't go look up how many times, if you don't know off the top of your head, Jeremiah Love got the football in the Ohio State national championship game. Just don't do it. Just Notre Dame, just get Jeremiah Love the football. He might be the best player in the country. So just get him the football. So that is going to do it for this video, folks. If you have not done so yet, please hit the thumbs up on this. Subscribe to the Blue and Gold YouTube channel. Go to our website, blueandgold.com, for so much more coverage, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey, Ryan. Here we go.